All right, I'm going to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us for this April 20th Supervisory Board meeting. We'll go ahead and start off with a roll call, if I can. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us for this April 20th Supervisory Board meeting. We'll go ahead and start off with a roll call, if we can. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call.
We're gonna get it in repeat.
We'll go ahead and start off with a roll call.
Need to mute YouTube.
Let's see, yeah,
That is not what I meant to do. Down here.
yeah, right there, you got it.
Okay.
Was it paused? It looks like frozen.
Yeah, I think we're good now. Let's try it. Sorry. Been 2 months.
All right, we'll go ahead and have roll call. Sorry for that, brief interruption there.
Okay, very good. Chair Dorsey,
Perfect.
Vice Chair Zwingli is not here at the moment. Richard Anici. Diane Foster is absent this evening. Lawrence O'Keefe.
Here.
Marie Schack here. Mike Schultz.
Here.
Mike Smith.
Here.
And Chris West is absent this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everyone had a chance to look over February's meeting minutes.
Yes.
Yes. Any corrections, questions, changes?
I move they be adopted as presented.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to adopt February's meetings as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Meeting minutes are adopted as written, and I will get this signed. Right back over to you.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. All right, board member announcements. Let us start with, let's go this way. Go ahead, Richard, what do you have for us tonight?
So I've got a good story to tell. I did a ride along last month and it was a very eye-opening experience. Anyone here who hasn't done one yet or anyone watching at home, if you're eligible, I highly recommend it. And I wanted to showcase kind of one thing that happened that really stuck out that night. First off, it was St. Patrick's night. So we did a lot of traffic enforcement, but there was one time where the officer pulled someone over and it was just a minor routine traffic violation. And he went up there to talk to him and I stayed in the car. I unrolled the window and I was trying to listen. And he spent a long time up there, like a long time, 3-4 times as long as he did with any previous traffic stop. But when he came back, he had the license to type stuff in the computer. It was one of those vertical licenses. So I could tell it was a minor. Typed it in, went back and handed it off, and the kid went on his way. And I asked, did you spend a lot of time there because he was a minor and you're, kind of explaining the importance of traffic safety and what rule he didn't follow and so on? He goes, no, you would think so. But actually, when I pulled him over, I noticed that he was crying. I saw in his eyes that he had been crying. So I asked, what's up? What's happening? And the guy explained that he had just gotten dumped and he got dumped in a really harsh way. One of those like, wish I'd never met you type of a thing. And it really kind of crushed him. And the officer spent time there kind of like validating his self-worth and propping him up. And by the time they were done to say he sent him on his way, they were kind of smiling and joking and laughing together type thing. And it really kind of helped give him the pep talk he needed to feel good about himself and send him on his way. And that really stuck out because I wasn't expecting like a routine traffic stop would turn to a situation where you're quickly taking off your law enforcement hat and putting on like a counselor hat and showing this kid that, hey, I'm an adult, but you can trust me, you could confide in me. And especially in today's day and age where there's like this national narrative about whose side are the cops on. I know thinking back when I was 16, I hadn't had any interaction with law enforcement until I started driving and started getting pulled over. And, this might have been this kid's very first interaction with a police officer, for all you know. And he walked away going, these guys are the good guys. They're on my side. And it's just the moment just kind of, it caught me off guard and made me feel really proud that like our officers have that level of, kindness and empathy and professionalism to really kind of help, just spread the goodwill in the community that we need out there and that our impressionable youth need to see as well. So it's really eye-opening and impressive to me that something I expected to be a ticket or a warning turned into like this, like I said, a pep talk to make him feel good and kind of send him on his way home with a smile on his face. So it was very cool, very unexpected, but a very cool experience. Yeah.
Good job, Ty.
Yeah, it wasn't isolated. I'm sure every officer is like that. And it goes all the way to the top too.
Yeah.
Did you ride with Ty or did you?
No, Ty would have put him in a Krav Maga and headlock me like, you're fine.
Rub some dirt on it.
Rub some dirt on it.
Well, what do you have for us, Marie?
Did you read my email?
I have not been able to get my email.
Okay, so, Ty, did you see my email?
Yes, but I wasn't gonna say anything.
So my tenure at Police Advisory Board is actually up in June. And so I could re-enlist. That sounds very professional right there. Re-up. But Greg and I made the decision, we're moving from Oregon. We're moving to Texas. So we'll be leaving mid-June on a wagon train. So unless I can do this from Texas, June will be my last month. I know.
Is he retiring?
He's retiring. Yeah.
Where in Texas?
Outside of Austin, New Braunfels. Yeah.
Gosh, everybody I know has moved to New Braunfels.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends that
Still
have,
makes
it's
it
crazy. There's like 2 Beaverton PD officers that are like within a mile of us. So, anyway, so it's exciting, but sad at the same time. It's hard to leave, a city I grew up in and have lived in for 40 years. But new adventures. So,
Congratulations.
40 years or 40?
40. I was born and lived, my parents' house is still off Roy Street in the ghetto, they call it. The ghetto of Sherwood. My stepson's like, you lived in the ghetto? And I was like, at the time, it was the only development that was in Sherwood, but
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll miss you.
yeah, so, yeah.
Well, congratulations to your first retirement.
Yeah.
He's retiring, in good health.
Yes, for
That's-
sure.
That's very important. So
Yeah.
we're happy for you. You'll go over there and do damage and, you'll go there.
Yes,
and take
lots
the
of
world.
damage, yeah, in the sun. I'll be sunburned, but I'll wear sunscreen. I have to make sure I wear.
Have you been out there visiting?
Yeah, we're building a house, so, I've been there.
Also what my friends did.
Yeah, I've been there many, many times. So I've seen all the gamuts between thunderstorms and crazy humidity, so I'm kind of prepared. Pseudo prepared, so.
Having lived in Texas, you're not.
I know, right? That's what they say, you're not, but I do think that my pores will be nice and clean, so, because they'll be so. So good luck filling my shoes, good luck, no, just kidding. You guys will be
Yeah.
fine. You'll find
It's gonna be tough.
You find something, so.
You're one guy. Been like,
I'm the boring one of the 3.
let's jump over here to this mic.
I've got nothing to report either.
Okay, Larry?
I have a couple of things. The first is, thank you for your service. I have been asked if I'd be interested in re-enlisting, and I would be honored to re-enlist. My term also expires in June. And as my first duty as a new guy, if I am accepted, is I will take next month off because I'm going on a road trip. My wife retires in 5 days. And so we will both be retired and hopefully have a little more time. And I'm working on how to do this for her. So, but I would be, seriously, I would be very honored to, continue my position.
I feel like we just appointed you. Is that already reappointment time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made it one meeting.
I can make a official request.
Yes. All right, thank you.
All right, and I think that vote will have closer to June. Let me see, this is
Or expires the end of June.
end of June. Okay, so we can have that realistic.
I'll figure it out hopefully by then.
Appointment.
I
Reappointment.
know, I know, I'm listening. I don't-
That's great.
It's Better with three appointment.
Well, I'll just touch on a couple things real quick. One, man, the last social media post we had about today being 420 is just blown up. Oh my goodness. It is just amazing. So I don't know how many of you have seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It was
on the news.
KGW News, guys.
Oh, Lord. But Sherwood, as a good thing or not so good?
A
thing?
good thing.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, they shared word for word the post. It was great.
Yeah, that is. So I would say all that to say that, you know, whenever there is a situation where people are questioning the validity, the value add of the Sherwood Police Department, that type of press is invaluable. You know, that type of transparency, and it's amazing how information can be boring, bland, and nobody pays attention to it, or it could be engaging and fun and entertaining and put forth in such a way that people not only learn from it, but they pay attention and then they share it. And so that message is repeated and getting out there. So I think everybody who read that got exactly what it was trying to say. It was needed because a lot of times we forget that people are going to be out, you know, either drinking after a football game or going out and giving on a day like this. But I just want to applaud again the continued efforts and support that you guys are giving your people to put those messages out there. So that is awesome. Now I got
It was great artwork. Great, it was great
It was
artwork.
local.
That's
So, what else? I think that there's a lot of great lessons that we're learning through this process of the school board putting their levy forward. And I think that there's going to be some good key takeaways for us as we prepare to look at what we want to do moving forward. Ty, that we'll talk more about as time goes on. But I think that the main thing is just telling the story, how the story is communicated, how did we get here, and the different paths moving forward that could be the outcomes based on how things turn out. But I think this is very interesting to see this happening now and to say, okay, what can we take away from that as a police advisory board? What lessons and learning opportunities are there?
I'm confused from the school levy?
Yeah, just the process
Okay.
and the communication to the
Oh, gotcha.
community.
Okay.
Yeah, not the
All right.
levy
I
itself.
was like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how this is intertwined. All right,
Yes, I'm sorry.
gotcha, the process.
The process, yeah. And that is all that I have got. All right. So business. We have a traffic safety committee update? Yes, we do. Wonderful.
Hey, short meeting.
That's the only business?
The only business.
One of the, I don't know if we're gonna touch on that.
I want to ask real quick.
Yes.
We have a guest here today. Looks like Captain.
Captain.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you have any announcements to make, but an introduction at least.
Yeah, I didn't know, I didn't know if they were gonna talk about your presence later, but.
I'm just filling in for chief. I'm the administrative captain.
For the visitor in the back.
Representation, yeah. Hi.
Everybody looks.
Another one of our fine officers, thank you for joining us. Yeah, well, thank you for being here in person to represent and get all these kudos in person on tonight's behalf. All right, let's Jump back into traffic safety committee update.
Ooh, this is the March 23rd meeting and it's actually had pretty lengthy agenda, so I'll try not to stretch this out too long.
Should I put a timer on? How long do you want?
It's like the guy that's playing golf now, it's so slow. Diane was not available for that meeting, so she can't sit there and say, no, you didn't hear that. First request that we talked about was for stop sign and speed bumps. This was a repeat, stop sign and speed bumps and or a crosswalk at Southwest Old Highway 99 and Crooked River Lane. Remember that? The traffic and pedestrian counts still have not yet been completed. Jason Waters, the city engineer, said that they would proceed with those as soon as possible. Apparently there was a funding issue that had not yet been approved. That and then doing the pedestrian counts, et cetera, may come out of the committee's budget. And this opened up a whole can of worms in terms of the $100,000 per year budget that we have. And there doesn't seem to be an adequate method to account for what has been spent, what's left over, what projects has gone toward. So we hope to be able to do some stuff along those ways. Anyway, we left this one open to be continued. Next one is probably the one that's most interesting is the update on the parking lot overflow issue at Sherwood High School. And Captain Laughlin had asked us to kind of put a hold on this while they did some studies, et cetera, and those have been completed and they've got some recommendations, and I'll pass this around. Two options from the Sherwood Police Department that will be presented to the school district. As you're coming down Elwood now, you turn left onto, is it Haid or?
Haiti or something.
Yeah, anyway, turn left on there, go into the drop-off place in front of the school, and there's the big hold up there. The recommendation is to close off the drop-off point that's now open, continue on Haid Road. And there is an access road back there. Open that
To the
up.
top lot.
Yeah, and there's two parking lots back there for the students. So open up one of those, people come in from Haid, drop off, go back out Haid. Also open up Southwest Kruger Road up to the access road. They go into the parking lot there, come back out onto Kruger Road, et cetera. So they'll be going on two ends of the school on the access road, coming back out.
So intermixing with the buses then,
Yes.
which was what they were totally trying to avoid when they built the school. Okay.
Exactly, although they can, some of the studies that they looked at are showing other schools that somehow don't seem to have the buses and cars interact, they don't seem to be having any issues with it. So that was option number one. The second option.
Only block off the front during drop off time?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're a visitor, then you can go in, but drop it off during.
I have had the privilege of dropping off my neighbor a couple times when he's missed the bus and it's not fun.
Yeah. The second option is basically the same as this first one, except without using Kruger Road. So one not quite as good, but anyway, those will be presented to the Sherwood School District. Also, more no parking signage on Haid on both sides and adding school zone speed signs on Elwood. And those signs on Elwood would have to come through the county.
Okay.
In conjunction with this request, we gave another request from the Haid Road residents saying how hard it was for them to get in and out, et cetera. Hopefully, one of these solutions is adopted that will help them as well. And I'll pass that around so you can see that. Next request was for flashing lights to be installed at Southwest Upper Roy and Southwest Kathy crosswalk leading to Murdoch Park. And the issue there is, it is kind of weird. On one side of the street, they've got the ADA dip. But the crosswalk went just straight across just to a regular sidewalk. There was another ADA dip up above, but the crosswalk didn't go to. So that has been repainted. Captain Laughlin and his troops took a look at the signage, and there's plenty of signage coming in from Murdoch before the crosswalk and also coming the other way. So it is believed that the signage, et cetera, and with the sites would cover the issue, and they would do continued.
I would say at night flashing would be delightful.
Apparently, another issue is that the flashing isn't supposed to go into residential areas.
But it's up by Snyder. That one blinks at you. It says stop.
Well, I don't know if that's,
Oh, it's not part of the crosswalk. It's a stop sign. It's not a crosswalk. That makes sense.
there is a crosswalk there, but it's
Yeah,
further on.
yeah.
Yeah.
There.
So. There was a request for speed limit signs at Southwest Pine Street between Southwest Division and Sunset Boulevard. Plus, wanting some more enhanced police presence. And the issue there is that speed limit signs 25 mph have been removed due to street work. And they're being replaced, so that'll be taken care of. There was a request, this kind of ties back into the parking at the high school. Request for a residential parking district at Orchard Hill and Orchard Hill Land and Fisk Terrace, which is literally right across the street
From
from the high school across there. An issue there is that people are coming, kids, and parking there during the day, walking across, and the residents are upset because they're having trouble getting in and out. Police went up and reviewed, and all the parking that's occurring, totally legal. It's all in legal parking. They're not parking yellow zones or anything of that nature, so it's really not much that can be done.
Is there not enough parking at this high school?
Part of the issue is that apparently the kids get charged to
Yes.
park at the school.
Oh, they're getting charged?
Yeah, and it's not cheap
Yeah,
for a kid if the parents aren't gonna pay for it.
so there's really not much to be done for the residents there, other than just continue patrols to make sure that everybody is parking legally. Talk with the school about, are you aware that charging kids to park at school is causing this issue? But the recommendation from the police was not to create a special parking district. Yeah, that's
Isn't there a parking district over by the middle school now? Aren't those roads?
Well, I think they're gonna be removed, but they were.
They were, right? You weren't allowed to park.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple of years now. Six. That's where the buses go.
I've never been over there during school hours.
It's a fun
So
circus of joy.
the last one is an update on the possible owner changes on Langer Farms by Walmart and Target. And actually, this makes a lot of sense. Jason Waters said what he's recommending is to remove the current pedestrian bars, the painting across the street where you're supposed to stop if you see pedestrians, because they're kind of in the wrong place and they're just confusing people. So remove those, make the lanes just straight through. Put in, what do you call it, a tubular intersection, which is, and you've seen it, it's kind of like the construction cones that go and you can, if you're coming on Langer, you can turn into Target, you can turn into Walmart, but going out, you would only be allowed a right-hand turn from either of those. And the tubular intersection steers you into those, but it's less expensive because it's basically a bump in the road with tubulars up there. So you can see where you're going, but it's not having to spend $300,000 to completely redo everything. So, but people would still only be able to come out of Walmart and to the right onto Langer, out of Target, turn to the right onto Langer.
So no more
No
left-hand
more left hand. no
faster.
more
They'd
straight
have to go to the roundabout to come if they wanted to go. left.
Crossing over, right?
You can't go straight,
Can't go straight.
only right.
Yeah, going right.
On the first one, because the one that's closer to Red Robin, you could still go right or left.
I believe so, yeah.
Right now, you can go right or left.
Yeah.
That's the sneaky way.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that out loud. Oh,
This is being recorded.
Let me make a note. Anyway, Jason asked for the committee's support on those proposals and then going to city council.
Yeah, that's
Presents them to,
definitely a
But anyway,
problem area.
we agree to support the proposal.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
Has anybody brought up Sunset where Lad Hill comes down and they turn to Main Street? There have been some cars that were speeding through during the times that kids were coming out of school. And sometimes the crosswalk monitors are not there.
Yeah.
So it's like the wild, wild west.
In the morning also.
In the morning, yeah. So there's been some incidents where people are almost.
There's been a lot of discussion about that intersection. I know new lighting was put in. It's again, the studies have shown that stop signs, stop lights, or there are stop signs, but stop lights wouldn't help or anything like that. So
People's behavior is what the.
It's been that way since Archer Glen was put in. My mom is the crosswalk monitor and she was almost hit multiple times. Like it's been, oh yeah, it's been like that for years.
yeah, all I
Unfortunately.
live right in that area, and all I know is that you do not want to mess with the monitor.
Oh my gosh, she's hit more cars with her stop sign. She hit them.
I saw-
She scratched one car, but she didn't get in trouble.
I saw one do that. the other
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Paintball gun.
I mean, they're standing in the thing in a big yellow coat and like we see them clearly, but she's been almost ran over a couple of times. It's kind of terrifying. But
Well, that's, it just came to mind because it's one of the kids of a neighbor almost got hit, clipped in the car was taking the right turn.
Yeah, I know that
Kid, older.
everybody who lives in that particular neighborhood would love to see lights and cameras
How
and
about
stuff
strips?
all waxed.
Oh. Well, we make way. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for that report. We very much appreciate your involvement on that committee.
it was perfect. And we know when we're gonna get the survey from the crosswalks on Sunset, like at Pinehurst and at Woodhaven.
No.
We're still waiting on that information.
Also news.
Last night, we, city council and the Sherwood School Board had a joint meeting, which we try to do quarterly. And that went really well. We talked about, some partnerships that we want to do, like safe routes to school, obviously the SRO. Ty came and talked about that, and of course, wanting a second SRO, if not, my opinion, a third at some point. We talked about Dr. Lyons gave an update just on the levy. Maybe SRO, oh, and starting a youth, possibly starting a youth advisory committee jointly with the city and school district, to sort of bring you, give them some experience in local government, because they have youth in government in the high school already, but it's at the state level. So this gives some experience at the local level. So we're talking about that. The pedestrian bridge, city manager talked about that. Somebody asked about that. I think he said that design should be done in June, with RFPs going out like around July, and maybe choosing who will be building the pedestrian bridge around August. So hopefully before the end of the year, maybe we'll see some construction, and it's about a 12-month process to get it built. Let's see. Next Friday is the Sherwood Police Foundation's auction gala. I think we are sold out. If we might have a couple tickets left, but it's gonna be fun. My house is lined with tables. It's full of auction. It's sort of neat. You walk in the living room and you get to just see all this stuff that people are gonna walk away with. What else? Any questions?
YMCA, is that being, we're looking at selling that to the YMCA?
Yeah, so city council, 2 meetings ago, I think it was, did vote to approve this purchase and sale agreement.
Mhm.
I think we're still waiting for the Y to sign their part. They had a couple questions after the fact, but yeah, that should hopefully, once that's signed, I think we have a 180-day clock, basically a due diligence period where the Y gets to do their due diligence and make sure that, there's nothing that they don't know about on the property and this and that, and then sell that for $5 million and let them be the owners of it,
Yeah.
where they can now do their own fundraising, because it's very difficult. Like a couple years ago, we did a survey of our community. Do you want to expand the Y? And the Y really needs some upgrades and expansions.
Yeah.
If it's gonna keep serving our population. And that was built when Sherwood was like 4,000 residents.
Yeah.
We're now 21,000, 22,000 people,
Yeah.
and it's busting at the seams. So it really needs upgraded, the pool or another pool or whatever. And it's very difficult for the Y to go ask, since the citizens in the survey didn't have an appetite for expanding it. The city not gonna put money, but the Y can't go raise money, and because
The building isn't theirs.
their donors aren't going to donate to a municipality.
Yeah.
I mean, to a building that the Y doesn't own. So
Right.
this will really be a win-win for them.
For sure.
We will maintain this keep the skate park because
Okay.
that was done with a state grant, so we can't sell that part. So we'll partition that land off and keep the skate park for us with an agreement to them that they can use it at some point. They have to give us easements for parking and all that stuff. So,
That's good. That's awesome.
yeah.
We own that berm there right along.
The snow hill, the sled hill. Before the,
Yes, before you get to the park, as you're pulling in.
No, I believe that's part, that will be.
That would be part of it.
Yeah.
That's a great piece of property.
the sled, it's a sledding hill. You can't match.
Sure, they'll let you guys sled. I don't know.
You still get to. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in Sherwood.
Well, thank you. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Any questions? Larry, Mike? Right. Well, now we'll get on to our distinguished chief and captain or captain or both. For staff reports and
I'll start and I'll let Captain Carlson finish with whatever he may have. I got quite a bit, but I want to start out with bowling with a cop that we had. Gosh, I guess it's been last month. We nearly doubled. Actually, we did double what we did last year. We brought in $3,500 and some change. I think 3,517 or somewhere around there. It was a great event. Much better than last year, although I was a little apprehensive about the fact that it was going to be during spring break and people being gone, but it actually worked out really well because people were looking for things to do. And so I think we're going to go ahead and book that again for the same time next year as well. So that was fantastic. A lot of interaction and a lot of great engagement with the community. So fun stuff. And Chair Dorsey, you talked about our post from today, the 420. We lean heavily on the alcohol consumption, Cinco de Mayo and Super Bowl and a lot of those events where we're like, hey, we're out here enforcing this. But marijuana is legal in this state, and it is in fact, it impairs drivers equally so. And so we're just trying to bring that, lightheartedly to the surface of, hey, you need to be careful if in fact you are partaking in that. And we're trained out there. Actually, Captain Carlson has been a long time DUI trainer. And so it's really important that we're out there and we're proactively, looking for any impairment. It doesn't have to be alcohol or marijuana. It can be pills. It can be, the gamut. So really important for us to get that out there and add a little humor to it. Next month, although we didn't have anything new, I'm going to be bringing forward some of the staffing study documents that we have as far as, moving forward and what that looks like. As you may or may not know, we're kind of mid-stride of budget. This month we're gearing up for all the meetings with budget committee, but we're not asking on the police side for any new FTEs short of an SRO, if in fact that works out, but we're working through the logistics of that. But as far as patrol or any other resources within the PD, we're trying to just get our ducks in a row so we know how we want to move forward and the messaging that we want to get out there. And to Chair's point, if in fact we at some point go out for a levy, we can lean on maybe some of the school districts, advice and experience if that's the route we take. But the other thing that we're also challenged with is we have 3 upcoming retirements that we know of this year. So, we're trying to get ahead of that. And I know I've talked about this. We're still challenged with the fact that DPSST is behind. They do not have the classes to support the statewide recruit academies. And a lot of that's driven by just staffing. They just don't have the personnel to put on these classes. So I've said this multiple times, but somebody that we hire, we're looking at 15 months before we see them on the road. And, that's problematic. That's not just for us, but it's for all the agencies around us that are looking, for people. And, you got agencies with 20 plus vacancies surrounding us, not including, Portland with hundreds of vacancies. So laterals are extremely valuable right now. And fortunately, we've had some that have expressed an interest in coming here. So that's, really appreciated. And as a matter of fact, I saw a list today, I think, in Captain Carlson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, and we haven't posted anything yet. But I think we have 7 laterals that have applied, just have put their name in and filled out the application for coming here. Now, that being said, we know that obviously we have to do backgrounds and having that all work out in the long run. So I'm pretty excited that in fact, when we do open up, hopefully we'll have several people that want to come to the department, which obviously for us, that expedites the process. If we have a lateral coming over, we're looking at 4 or 5 months versus 15. But the other cool thing that we just finished up is, I think you guys are aware that we just implemented the sabbatical program, and our first person has gone out and just returned this last week. I haven't spoken to them yet because I've tried, and she's been extremely busy. So, but I've heard that it was a good experience, and I think we have some others scheduled throughout the year. So I'm really excited about how this program is going to impact just the health and well-being of our personnel moving forward. Let me see. I got all sorts of notes here. The other thing that's really exciting is actually Captain Carlson and I are, and I may be stealing his thunder, but we're headed down to Canyonville on Thursday because Officer Matson was recognized as the DUI Officer of the Year for the state of Oregon. So he's being recognized for that. So we're going to go down there and celebrate that with him, and then turn around and be back for the gala on Friday. But I think it's fantastic what he's done. Not only, as you know, he runs our social media, so he's extremely busy, but he's also extremely active out there and engaged in enforcement of impaired drivers. And just to put it in perspective, and you probably already heard me say this, but we had 72 DUI arrests last year, and of which 52 of those were his. So he doesn't mess around, and he's actively out there pursuing that, which is great. So that'll be a great event for us to go down and celebrate with him on that. The other thing is, for everybody's, you probably can't see that, I'll just tell you what it says. We have our national drug take back this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I believe, Angie, are you going to be there?
No,
No.
Bill.
Oh, Bill's going to be there. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bring all your unwanted, unused prescription drugs minus needles. And I know they've always said liquids, but for some reason they still show up. So we used to have a drug take back box that we got rid of probably 2-3 years ago. So these events are great because lots of people stockpile them, and then they have an opportunity to get rid of their expired or just unneeded drugs. And then the following week is our shred and food drive event. So you can bring all your documents that you want shredded, and with a donation of what, two perishable items. That's on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. Is that right, Angie?
2 weeks, so it's May.
May 6th.
Yes. May.
Oh, sorry, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. And then bittersweet announcement of the retirement of Sergeant John Shields. Been here a long time. Came from Beaverton as well. So we're celebrating him on Wednesday, May 3rd. It'll be in the room that you're sitting in at 3:30 p.m. And if you had the opportunity for Sergeant Johnson when he retired, it's going to be similar setup. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be a great send off and sad at the same time to see him leave. But we're excited that he's got some future plans of, well, I don't think he's going to Texas, but maybe somewhere where the sun is. And then aside from that, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be bringing for May, I'm going to be bringing back some staffing plans and staffing ideas and just some data for us to kind of sift through. And then the all and fun policy updates. We haven't done that in quite some time because we were sifting through just some of the legalese of some of these, but I think we're ready to sit down and have a chat about them and move them forward with you and then on to city council. And I think that is it that I have. Captain Carlson, you have anything to add on your plate that you're working?
Pretty much covered everything.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think he's sorry.
I do want to acknowledge Captain Carlson and because he doesn't attend these meetings often, but he is an integral part of the team and getting things done, and as well as Angie. So it's I know when he comes, he may not have a lot to present, but I don't do what I do without either one of them. So thanks for showing up on my behalf tonight, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it on my timing. Otherwise, I think that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
On the policy updates, are you gonna, I think last year you just highlighted the ones that were changing. We just focused on those.
Yeah, and most of them are all police reform stuff that has been implemented in the last year. I mean, for 90, probably 5% of it is just, it's legislative mandated changes that we have no say in.
Right.
And so it's just simply our policies have already been changed in that sense. It's just, we're presenting it to you so you have a better understanding, and then obviously to council to just ratify it.
Got it.
I have a question. What happened with the Citizens Academy?
Yes, great question. So, twofold. We only have, and I'll need correction on this, but I think we've only had 6 applicants thus far. And
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, only 6, where are these people at? I'm trying to
I know. So one of the things that came up, and it's when we saw that, and then and actually something that's really cool that's happening within Sherwood PD is we're going to have our first Sherwood PD baby in the spring. So we have an officer that is out now and off the road that will be having a baby in October-ish, November. So we won't see her until probably spring of 24. And then we have some people that are out on paternity leave as well. And we have some military leaves that are coming up. So oddly enough, it's impacted us pretty dramatically for the next 6 months. It's going to be an interesting time for us because we're going to have a lot of personnel out and we're going to have to navigate that. So in light of the fact that we only had 6 applicants and then all these other things came to light, we thought, well, let's go ahead and wait until we are in a better position to make this happen because we're going to tax our staff that's left for 6 or 7 people. So it can be and should be a topic of discussion of how we can get that out there, because I believe we invited the school board, the PAB, city council. Help me out, Angie. Who else?
I think that's all.
Okay, and so maybe reaching out to some other of the entities out there that might have an interest in it. But I get long answer to your question.
Makes sense, though.
Chief, I've got just a couple of questions. On the sabbatical program, what's the length of the sabbatical time-wise?
It's 30 days, so 4 weeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so the premise of that is we unplug them. No cell phones, no computers, no court, nothing. We simply do not want to see you. If I could, I would probably deny their access to the building, but I mean, it's the idea is just that they have the ability to just step away and hopefully come back refreshed.
And did they truly step away? Did you not hear from them?
Nope, not a word.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's a great program.
Do they have to be here for a certain amount of time? Like, is it like you're here 5 years and you get to do it, or?
Yeah, it's based on 5 years here or cumulative. So it's also a part of a recruiting tool. So if you come to us with 2 or 3 years of experience,
Yeah.
we will recognize that, and then you got to get off probation, and then you can take it. I mean, police work is police work, whether it's here or there. I mean, it still has that impact, and we don't want to diminish that. And like I said, it's a great recruiting tool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You had mentioned that that's why it's so attractive for lateral people to be involved in that.
I think it's important. I think people recognize where we're headed. And that's really been my platform, is just the health and well-being of people, not only in this career, but when they step away from it. I mean, as whole as you can be walking out the doors, that's my goal. And so some of these programs that we can help with that is what we're going to do. And yeah, so I think people are seeing it. Forest Grove also has it. So we're the only 2 in the state at the moment. And we've had, inquiries on how it works and what it looks like. So I'm guessing it's going to pick up traction, which it should. It should be in every agency, quite truthfully, but it isn't right now. So I think we have a unique opportunity to probably get some really good people.
That's awesome. Another question?
One last question.
Yeah.
On the DUI Officer of the Year award, I'm interested in what the criteria is. Is it the volume of stops or percentage of convictions, or?
It encompasses a lot of different aspects. It has not only traffic stops and arrests, but training, works within the community, making social awareness. It encompasses all that. Also, it's not just going out there and arresting DUIs. Yeah.
Just that number of DUIs is a little sad for a little town like Sherwood.
Yeah, we're busy.
I know.
Busy.
They have to come down 99 from all sorts of different places. I don't know where he finds them, but I imagine 99 is a hot spot. Clancy's. Oh, that's why you walk to Clancy's.
So when I did my ride along, it was St. Patrick's night, and nothing had anything to do with Clancy's. We're on 99. There was people coming from the casino, heading back up into Portland. There was quite a few Washington license plates that we pulled over, and it was Officer Mattson I was with as well. But yeah, it was really interesting. There was a lot of people coming through, passing through or heading home from, away from here to go somewhere else, or coming back here from somewhere else.
Yeah, especially with this being sort of.
Oh, Siri was very concerned.
What can you tell us about the numbers? I know we've seen a lot more recent activity around the thefts, the retail thefts, and I'm hearing great things about the coordination and the partnership between the police department and Home Depot in particular, because they at one point had just thrown their hands up and people were just walking out. But now I see it's a lot. It's been a lot more effective as far as that partnership between you and the Home Depot staff to recoup some of these losses. Do we see numbers going down? Are we tracking sort of how many calls we're getting in that regard, and how impactful those relationships have been with Walmart, Home Depot?
So, yeah, great question. Retail theft is obviously driving a lot of our time and effort, and we've had officers that engage with the loss prevention personnel. They exchange phone numbers so that they can call and have interactions about people that are suspicious, and we roll in there, and so it's different than it was. There was a time where we were obviously just call driven by them calling us, but now it's a two-way street. We're calling them. I know I have officers that are calling them saying, hey, what's what, and how are things, and all of these retail shops all have little different tweaks and nuances to their enforcement. So it's not just a blanket approach, and them getting to learn, how Walmart's working and how Home Depot's working and Kohl's and Target. They all work a little differently, but our officers have been fantastic in engaging with them. And more importantly, they've just been really proactive. They go there, their presence in a parking lot. It's kind of like a presence on the side of the street by a school zone, everybody checks their speed. Or, is a phone in my hand kind of thing. So the same thing, works within the retail areas, and not only are they sitting in the cars, but they also get out and just walk through. So unfortunately, this is one of those things where you can't quantify the impact you have, but you are, the fact that you're there, you're walking through, and people see you, that they choose to go and either wait or go try someplace else. I don't know specifically compared numbers, but I do have some numbers that I can tell you for like Home Depot. Last year, we were there for 91 calls for service. And proactively, we were there 244 times. So that means we go out. So when I say self-initiated, proactive is an officer puts themselves out at the Home Depot, either in the parking lot or walking through, versus the 91 times that they called us. Now, sometimes this data is not 100%, because I know, and I said it earlier, is that these loss prevention personnel actually have cell phone numbers for officers. So they sometimes will call them directly versus going through WACA, and it kind of skews our numbers a little and makes them backwards. So some of these self-initiated could actually, in fact, be loss prevention calling them saying, hey, we got so-and-so or such and such going on. And then they end up going out there on a self-initiated. Walmart, 237 calls for service, 407 self-initiated. Target is 90 calls for service and 361 self-initiated. And then Kohl's was 90 calls for service and 361 calls for. So just between those four, 602 calls for service and 1,742 self-initiated activities between 4 retailers within our city. So we stay busy. It's we recognize the impact they make in our community, and so the officers do a great job. Even at minimal staffing, they go out of their way to interact and engage, and obviously try and prevent as much as we can.
I think the loss prevention personnel must really appreciate our officers. One called up just to say they want to come volunteer at the auction next Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
to help
awesome.
set up and yeah.
And one thing we've also done too this year, is we've partnered with a couple of the loss prevention people and did operations with our detectives undercover. They'd bring in a bunch of their loss prevention, and then we'd have our detectives there undercover and just arrest shoplifters. We've done that this year, so.
Chief, if I may, it seems to be making a difference. I took your Facebook posts over the last month or so and seen that thefts have gone down from spring break, when it was about 20 arrests were made in the week of March 27th, and from 226, it was at 9. So the arrests have gone up, but we seem to be staying about 300 calls a month, give or take. And it certainly seems to be noticed by whoever the bad guys are that, you're not going to come in and just get away with stuff anymore.
We're hoping that's the message. But like I said, the officers have been fantastic. So if you see them or you see the cars and you see them in the lots, that's what they're doing. They're out there just, trying to be proactive and engaging and preventative. But I don't, unfortunately, and it's sad to say, I don't see any, things slowing down in the near future with just the way things are going. But and then, as I mentioned, the next 6 months will be challenging for us personnel wise. So we'll definitely stay busy.
You can deputize us.
Yeah. You're moving to Texas.
I have found 2 drug deals in Beaverton for Greg. I feel like I could do so many great things. As an undercover, what do they call it, snitch? I could be a snitch.
Too bad we don't have a substitute pool to call.
I know. And we've been talking about that. So one of the things that we did actually, it's been probably 4 or 5 years ago, but we were able to bring a retired officer on because we had a year-long military deployment. And actually, he ended up staying with us, I think, for 4 years because we had like multiple people out and we're able to benefit from him. So yeah. I mean, if anybody's out there that's just retired and wants to come hang out with us for about a year, that would be fantastic.
We'll be in Texas, sorry.
Well, I really love that we have so many military reserves though. I don't know if other departments do that or not, but I'm proud that Sherwood honors the veterans.
Yeah, actually, we have 4 active, I think, right now. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. So
It's a challenge at times, but you'll figure it out.
yeah. Thanks, Counselor.
What about the catalytic converter situation? We haven't heard too much about it lately. Is that going well as far as?
You know, ironically, you remember the big bust that came out of Beaverton? It was kind of a multi-agency investigation and, millions and millions of dollars. And everybody thought that, gosh, that's going to put, a dent in this thing. And it wasn't, 2 days later, we were taking catalytic converter thefts here in the city. So they're still out there. I don't think it is as prevalent, but they're not going to stop. I mean, it's kind of like a drug dealer. One goes down, there's somebody waiting to backfill, and so they're out there doing it. But to your point, Chair, I think there's been a slight lull in it, but I know that they're still taking them, unfortunately.
Oh, and my last question regarding the senior night, grad party night. I don't know where they're gonna be, but is there gonna be the SRO gonna be there or anything like that, just for the security of the kids, or do we know how that's gonna look?
We will figure that one out. Do you know when that is?
When's graduation?
June, I wanna say it's the 8th, the night of the 8th, and rolling into
We'll have people
Yeah.
there for sure.
So the 8th is a Thursday,
I think it's
no,
nice.
this is
the 9th.
the 9th,
Well, the grad party is,
the Friday.
it's off campus and out of the city and nobody knows.
Oh, it's out of the city.
Nobody knows. Very small people know where you're going, and kids aren't allowed to bring their cell phones. Kids have to bring things in clear bags. I mean, it's very, hush hush, just so for the safety and so that nobody else shows up and it's
Okay.
When is it? Oh, isn't it over like at 2 a.m. or something? And
like they get back in school usually like 4 or 5 a.m. Yeah.
Okay.
so the kids aren't driving home in the dark.
No, they are,
They have to go.
they have to have a parent pick them up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but there'll be someone maybe around, no, I mean, obviously.
I mean,
in the area
Yeah.
with all those high schoolers just being dropped off.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
So noted on the 10th at 4 a.m., make sure there's a couple of police officers around.
We will have somebody there. I know the SRO will not be available, but we'll have somebody from patrol be in attendance.
That was all I had. Any other questions, input, feedback? All right. Okay, do you have any citizen comments that came in?
Well, now that we meet live or in person, I don't have any that I've received via email or anything. So.
All right, well, we've got enough comments on our Facebook post to speak to how people are feeling about the department and what you all do. So congratulations again for all of the positive press and the really appreciative thoughts and words and comments that we're seeing. You guys are doing a wonderful job. So keep it up. Definitely. All right. Is there a
You have
motion?
to move.
I move we adjourn.
All right. The meeting is, all in favor? Aye. All right, the meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all for your time this evening, for coming and being a part of our board. Your volunteer activity has been fulfilled.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
We don't do it.
There's no choice.
Yeah, very sound. Yeah.